Hello and welcome to a new video in which I'd like to show you a snow farm which I designed for a mod called Minecraft Infinite, formerly known as Infdev Plus. In this video I'm going to show you how this farm works, how you can build it, how fuel efficient it is, and also how you can modify it. The principle behind this farm is very simple, and it is that whenever a snow layer is washed away by water, it drops snowballs. So when I discovered it, I thought to myself that I could combine it with snowmen. Since they produce snow, I can just have the water wash away the snow they produce. And to do that, I have decided to trap the snowmen in a place where I could keep washing away the snow layers whenever they get produced. And to keep washing away the snow layers, I'm using a sponge, which is pushed by a golden piston, which is connected to a simple clock, which keeps activating the piston. And basically what happens here is that whenever the sponge gets pushed down, it erases the water, which gives the snowman an opportunity to create the snow layers. And then the water flows back in, washing away the snow layers and snowballs, which go into the crafters, which turn them into snow blocks. Here are the materials that you'll need. Aside from some generate building blocks, you'll need 8 trapdoors, 20 snow blocks, 10 carved pumpkins, some water, so you need a infinite source, 3 generators, 1 regulator, 2 transformers, 2 crafters, 1 golden piston, 2 detectors, sponge, a cock, and 2 signs. And you also need some collectors if you want to use them, and the amount depends on how much you want to collect. Next up, I'm going to show you how to build it. Firstly, you want to build a 9x7 platform, to which you add a fire at the top to keep the water in. Next, you want to add 2 rows of 4 trapdoors. Now, the layout is very simple. The first row is 4 blocks away from the barrier on the shutter side, and you want to have them open. The way that I've placed them in is that I've just placed in some blocks and then placed in the trapdoors onto them and opened them. After that, you want to place some blocks on the trapdoors to keep the snowmen in, and then you want to start placing the snowmen in. For that, I recommend placing a 3-high wall around the place so that the snowmen don't escape while you create them. And once you do that, you just create a snowman and push it in, and then place a block over it. With enough patience, you should be able to fill in all of the spots. Once you're done with the snowman, you want to place in the water. You want some water over here to remove the snow layers and also carry the snowballs, and a water stream over here to carry the snowballs to the crafters, and a sign at the end to stop the water. Next up is the auto crafting station, and firstly you want to place a block below the sign, and a block next to it, detector, a transformer here, generator, a block with a clock on top of it, then 2 crafters like so, and another detector. And once you have that, you want to place in some snowballs into the crafters so that they craft the snow blocks. After that, you want to place some blocks around this as barriers, except for this block, as this will be a fan, and 2 blocks onto the generators so that the snowballs don't end up on top of it, then a sign over here, and water over here so that it forms a stream that will go over the crafters and detectors, and then make the items go to the fan, which will put them back to the beginning. And next up, you'll want to make the mechanism, thanks to which you'll get the snowballs. So firstly, you want to place the sponge onto the barriers that are around the snowman. The sponge is kind of in the middle, so it's 2 blocks away from the barrier on the longer side, and 2 blocks away from the line of water sources. above it, you want to place 3 blocks. Then remove 2 so they can place in a golden piston. Then you want a transform next to the piston, generator, regulator, if I can place it, and a generator. And there you go. And lastly, you'll need some way to collect the items. One of the things they can do is to make a water stream. They will carry the items over here, for example, where you can stand to collect them. Or you can place some collectors below the water stream so that they collect the items for you if you don't want to stand there. And can't forget to add some fuel into the generators so that this machine actually runs. And once you do all of that, your machine will be ready and you can just turn on. Hopefully this tutorial made sense, and if it didn't, then you can just check out this world yourself, as I'll be including a link to it in the description. Now, if you've ever used the generators in this mod, then you know that they consume fuel. So with this contraption you might be worried about its fuel efficiency. After all, it wouldn't make sense to use this machine if it were to consume a coal block to produce like a few pieces of snow blocks, which is why I decided to do a test where I placed a lava bucket into each of the generators, and I'm going to run it until it stops to see how many snow blocks it produces. The reason why I've chose lava buckets is because I feel like they are a good unit, because they are abundant and you can find it a lot underground or in the Crimson Dimension, and like they don't give too much burn time, like for example a stack of coal. And after a while the farm has stopped and it has managed to produce 16 stacks plus 14 of snow blocks, and while doing that it has consumed 1 bucket of lava plus less than a half plus less than half of the bucket. So the results are that you get something over 8 stacks of snow blocks per a single lava bucket, which I'd say makes this contraption quite efficient, since I'd say get quite a lot of snow for the fuel that you consume. Also, this one produces about 2278 snow blocks per hour. Of course, you can make a bunch of modifications to this contraption based on what you expect from it. For example, you can modify the crafting system. For example, you can make one of the crafters face in a different direction and make it face into another crafter, which produces snow bricks from the snow you get. Or you can of course make it produce snow layers instead of snow blocks. And if you don't want the farm to turn the snowballs into anything, you can just stand at the end of the water stream and collect them yourself. Another modification that you can do is to add more snowmen to produce more snow. In this case I've done it by adding another platform with the snowmen, where I've used berries instead of glass so you can see them better. But if you do that, you'll need to modify the mechanism so that the whole contraption works properly. In this case I've done it by increasing the delay on the regulator and by adding another sponge with a piston. I have also done the lava bucket test with this farm, and it has produced 26 stacks of snow for the same amount of fuel, which means that you get about 13 stacks of snow from this farm per a single lava bucket, which means that it's more fuel efficient than the first design. This modified design produces about 2697 snow blocks per hour. Another modification that you could do if you were to only use it during the day, or if you were to build it in the Astral Dimension, is to replace this generator with a solar panel, so you save on the fuel that we normally consume by the generator. Of course, you could probably extend this farm further, but to do that you will probably need to add another piston with a sponge, and probably modify the clock so that it'll be different. So I'm not quite sure if it's worth it to expand it further. Another thing that you could try doing is to build two of these contraptions. However, I feel like it is not as good as just expanding the design. Here you can see that I've made it wider instead of longer. And so here I've got more of the snowmen and more of the sponges, but still the same amount of generators. I also did the lava test on this version of the farm, and it proved to be more efficient than the previous ones, as it consumed about the same amount of fuel, but it gave me 51 stacks of snow blocks, which means you get about 25.5 stacks of snow per a single lava bucket. It was in fact so efficient that I had to use 4 crafters instead of 2 to use up all of the snowballs that were being produced. Also, this one produces about 2,278 snow blocks per hour. And that is the automatic snow farm that I've designed. I'd say it is very useful if you plan to use a lot of snow. But anyway, I hope you've liked it, and if you're interested in visiting this world, then as I said, there will be a download link in the description. Anyway, with that, I'll be seeing you in the next one.